week's episode of Running Tales, and here we have Shaq Baker, who is new to me, so I'm quite excited to know what his running tale is. Over to you. What is your running tale?
Whoop, whoop. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
My running tales, it's quite interesting actually. I wasn't traditionally a runner. I actually started running in I did a half marathon for a charity in 2019. Um, the charity was called Operation Smile, and that's where it's an organization that does cleft surgery for children and young people in sort of low to middle income countries all over the world. And so I loved the course, and it was me and a group of other property people, and so it was our sort of thing to give back. And the opportunity to run a half marathon for me was so daunting. And I said, look, I'll try and do a 10K. I could barely run 1K. So I'll try and do 10K. It's about sort of December. The run's in sort of April. I'll try and do a 10K. And the guy said to me that I was with, he said, nah, you're doing 20K. I said, bro, I don't think I could physically do it or mentally. And he says, well, we can do anything that we choose to. And so as much as I think it was probably the scariest thing I did, but I think what made me really want to do it was because that I couldn't. So the main reason I wanted to do the 20K was because I know that I couldn't. And so it was a massive sort of push in my out of my comfort zone. And like I said, I'd never ran. I couldn't do running. It just wasn't something I was physically able to do, and I don't think I was that keen on doing it. So that was my first experience of actually getting into running.
So, what did you do for training? You made a decision, you're going to raise money for this charity. What was your next step? Did you get those PE trainers from school out the cupboard and the shorts that still wedge up your bum and say, right, I'm going to do this?
The funny thing was, I actually owned a lot of like sporting clothes. I owned a lot of sporting clothes. And so I think I had a pair of running trainers. I don't think I actually had to buy anything really. I had enough to start anyway. I think over time I bought like specific, maybe like running stuff that was a bit more sort of thermal performance and more lightweight. But I had enough to start, and it was such a massive learning for me because I felt most of the process was mental more than physical. I think all of it was mental. Like I'd learned so many lessons sort of cool people just to get started because I was a complete beginner. So I literally I came out my flat. I'm trying to remember the first run that I did. I did it in the evening, and I never did it before. And again, I was a bit naive. I said, I was just running, and I came up my flat. I was on the street. I did a right, ran to the bottom of the road, and the bottom of that road, and I was flabbergasted. I was done. I was like, wow, this is way harder than I thought this was going to be. So I pushed and I pushed. I think it wasn't a kilometer. I'd done maybe 0.7. My back was hurting and I couldn't breathe. I felt like my lungs was maybe like this big, and but only this much was coming in, and I just couldn't get enough oxygen in. So the whole thing was I felt sort of broken in every aspect. I couldn't breathe properly. My back was hurting. I was completely out of the game. I was so unfit.
So it made you aware of your body and its capabilities.
It was like going for an MOT, and I failed in everything. So I was like, legs, fail, lungs fail, nose fail, arms fail. It was just a complete failure. But one thing I did know, and it taught me, the first thing I learned, because I think I did that and I went back and I was like, yeah, that's really hard. But then I think the level of the accountability of this event, and I had a group of people that were also at different levels, that helped me to keep my head in the game. So that helped me to say, right, we're going to run again in 2 days' time. We're going to run again in 2 days' time. And one thing I did notice, as much as that was difficult, the very next run, I got to that same point and it wasn't as difficult. So each time I just got a little bit further and I was like, oh, actually, like 2 days ago, this pot I was dead of, like, 100 meters ago. Now I feel like there's a bit of a flow. So I remember the first time I did 2 kilometers and it felt like such a massive achievement. So maybe say, actually, I don't know how I'm going to go from 2 to 20, but there's got to be, we just got to take small steps.
So it sounds like from a very early stage of your running, from day one, you've realised this is not going to be quick from 0 to 20.
No,
It is going to be baby
no.
steps.
It's interesting because I know people that have done like, I think they call it couch to 5K or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know about any of that. So I kind of just was, I knew within myself that I need a lot of work. So I just kind of got stuck in. And I think, like I said, because I had the event, the line in the sand was a really powerful motivator. So it ended up making me do stuff like wake up at like 6 a.m., 5:30, and just go for a run, and I looked like a professional, but I wasn't. I just felt like if I get it out of the way first thing, then I feel like the longer the day goes on, more time to creep in, excuses, or the day just runs away with you. And then before you know it, you've eaten, your food's not settled, and you're not going to run.
Well, my husband's, it's morning that we're doing this recording, and my husband's just gone out now as well for exactly that same reason. If he doesn't run now, he waits later in the day, he just won't do it.
I think the thing is with me, naturally, I'm a night owl. So I can actually, like last night, I actually ran after 12, after midnight. And I like kind of like I said, I'm a night owl. I like sort of the empty streets. I like that.
You're nocturnal.
Yeah, I'm quite nocturnal. So early mornings is very difficult for me. I'm not a lark at all. I'm definitely sort of a night owl. So when I've tried to become more of a morning person, there is more resistance there. But again, it's like I feel like it's the better thing to do if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a person that's more, driven. People tend to be early risers. And then again today I was up quite early and I done a morning run about 6.
The times that you're going, is it because you like the feeling of being out on your own and just not disturbed, and you feel like you're seeing the world before everyone else, or when the world's in bed, it's just you?
There's times when I do like that, but equally there's times when I'm not up early, or I'm up early and I've got stuff to do, and then I'll make lunchtimes my thing. So then I remember to start off lockdown, I then made lunchtime my exercise time, and then I ate afterwards. So I was almost like, I told myself, if you want to eat, you've got to earn it. So you either go for a run or you do your burpees, whatever you're focusing on. So what I found quite powerful was being able to gamify some of the processes, being able to, put mental things in place that allow you to do what you want. Because the thing is that it's very easy to just say, I'm not going to run today. And the problem with that is you always feel bad for it. You don't, not in the moment. You're like, oh, I've got stuff to do. I've got to pick up the kids and I'll do it tomorrow. And you can get in that cycle of one day turns to a week. And then, so what I try to do is, as much as it's, someone told me this advice. She said to me that it was from her friend's dad, who was an athlete. And he basically said, the 2 times I go running is when I really want to and when I really don't want to. So then it's like, he's told himself, so whenever he tells himself, I really can't be bothered today to go, that's when he goes. So they're like 2 like executive decisions. When you want to, you're pumped up and you go. And the time when you really don't want to the most, that's when he goes as well. And so little things like just having your running gear at the end of your bed, trainers are there. You kind of, if you can get up and just put those on and go, you've got the whole day ahead of you, and or as much as you sometimes might be tired or groggy, like you always feel better when you're done.
I'm curious to know, before you started running, did
Hmm.
you do any sort of fitness? Or
None.
you did
No,
none at all? And now
no,
you're
no,
talking
no.
about running, burpees. It sounds like that very first run where you realized your body needed some work, it's just transformed your
I
whole.
think it was a little bit of, because over the years, there's times when I've put on weight and I'm like, I should really do something. And I might have, like, I'm the kind of person that sign up to the gym, I go twice, and then I'll have this membership for a year and probably have only been like 5 times in the whole year. And I mean, I'm not ashamed of that, because I then tell myself, well, you've not gone to the gym, but you're not lazy because you're always working, so it's fine. But it's important to allocate time for your health and your fitness. And I thought with running, why running was so easy to get into, it's free. You don't
Yeah.
need any tools, and you could literally run. Like, I run in the streets, and I don't really have a problem with that. I know some people prefer parks and whatnot. I literally just run on the pavement, in the road. Obviously, I'm safe, but I love running because it helps with your breathing, it helps with your fitness. Before I started running, I felt like I was a little bit overweight, and so for me, it was a solution. It kind of ticked every box. I thought it doesn't cost me anything, and I don't need an account. I don't need any utensils or apparatus. I can
Or
just do it.
time, or
You don't,
set time,
you
you can go
literally, if
whenever.
you want to run for 5 minutes, you can. If you want to run for 20 minutes, you can. And if you want to be super focused and try and push yourself, then you can push, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever you want to kind of do. And one of the things that I found quite helpful was the running app, the Nike running app. For me, it
Okay.
was because it has guided runs, and I'd never done anything like that. So I'd often just ran to music, but I thought that just having someone kind of come in your ear every sort of few moments, giving you inspirational things, and he'd say stuff like psychological things. I thought running really is about the mind and where your head's at, and then also being in tune with your body and feeling and understanding what your body kind of wants to do today. Sometimes you might say, I'm gonna knock out sort of a 10K, and your body says, nah, not today. we're doing 5K, because 5K is what the body needs today. You maybe do a 10K at the end of the week. So it's understanding that and not feeling defeated. I remember there was one time I really was pushing for like I think a 10K, and I got to like 7, and I just couldn't. I didn't have it up here to keep
Yeah.
going, and I felt quite. I remember feeling quite defeated by that. I thought, well,
Yeah.
why can't I do it? And it's just like, it's just understanding today, for
It's not
whatever
about.
reason, it's not the day now. No.
So you started just before the lockdown began.
No, so
And
I did it. I started at the beginning of 2019. So I had a whole
oh,
year,
you had a whole year.
and
Okay.
then so by lockdown, so I did the marathon. I did the half marathon.
Which one was
Um,
that?
it was in Birmingham. So it was Sutton Park. So
Okay.
Sutton half marathon in April. Yeah, in April in Sutton Park. Like I said, first time I'd ever done anything like that, and the preparation up to it was again, it was powerful, seeing myself go to like 3K. I remember the first time I did a 5K, and I was like, wow. So when I pushed to 10K, that's when I really thought I can actually do what anyone can do. Anything if they put their mind to it. If
Yeah.
you got to have a strong reason why. You've got to be dedicated, and you've got to be consistent. So I feel
Yeah.
like a combination of those three things, I'd show myself. You often read stuff like that, and when I hear things like this, I'll be like, whatever. But I proved it to myself, like, it's actually, these people are actually true, that you can do it. Um, so I remember getting to the point where it it was interesting, just running through London and seeing things not from your car but from running. I'd run around like Buckingham Palace and see loads of beautiful things, or things I never really focused on before. And and so I really pushed. I pushed and pushed. I pushed before the marathon. I never got up to a full 20K, but I think I'd done like 17, 18. And I felt like the last two I would do in on the day. I felt like I could.
Did you get the chance? Did you do the race? Did you actually
I
do the
did the
race?
race. Yeah, we did the race.
Okay, so let's talk
Yeah,
about the race, because you're a newbie, you've been running just for a few
yeah,
months.
yeah,
You know, you've had this big shock of really what is involved with running, what it entails.
yeah.
And then you're at that start line. This is your first race. Share that
Hmm.
feeling, because no one
Um,
forgets that first race.
yeah, I'll never forget it. I would honestly say I'll never forget the whole experience. Um, it's it's probably, I'd say, one of my proudest moments. Such an achievement, and it was so difficult. Like, it was so challenging. It was like challenging, I'd say, mentally, like nothing, all that training didn't prep me for the
Yeah.
actual event.
Yeah.
So when I went in confident, I felt confident. I don't think I had enough sleep the night before. Um, so, and again, I only say that in reflection, but the next day I felt fine. And there's a few things I noticed straight away. So when I signed up, there was quite a lot of people and there was good energy, and I felt good, but the air was very cold. It was very crisp,
Okay,
and
so you felt it on your chest.
so I could feel it. It felt cold going up my nose. So
Yeah.
it felt different. So being in, it was April, and I guess London at times was cold. Running up to, there was times when the weather was quite nice as well. And the biggest difference that I noticed once the race started was London's very flat. This park, oh my days.
I know.
Oh my days. I don't think anything prepared me for that.
Yeah,
Like
those
that,
hills.
technically, technically for me and some of the more experienced racers, runners, they've seen me talk about this and they laugh because they think I'm exaggerating. I'm like, dude, those were like mountains, hills and valleys. I said, on my body, it felt like I'd ran double.
Yeah.
It felt like I'd ran double. Like, so I noticed straight away, I was quite confident in myself. Once we started running, I noticed like people just started passing me. Shing, shing, shing. So that's the first thing I noticed. So psychologically, I thought, hang on a minute. And then the more I ran, it just became apparent. This is very difficult. I'm actually struggling. So it was a track that was a 5K track. So you'd run it 4 times. And I did the first 5K and it felt like a 10K on my body.
Yeah.
So instantly I've realized this is not what I wasn't prepared for this. I'd ran, and that's when I realized I should have done a bit more research about where I was running, because then I would have ran in similar, and I would have found similar conditions.
Yeah.
So at least even if I visit once or twice, then I'm prepared for it. So the coldness and the hills, yeah, it blew my mind.
And
I wasn't prepared for that, and I'd always ran with kind of music. My phone died after about, stupid iPhone. It died after about sort of about 30 minutes. So I was literally, I mean, I tried not to, when I ran, I never ever drank water. I basically tried to run with nothing, no crutches really. So I felt like it make me kind of more resilient. And on the day, nothing helped. It was, like I said, the just the inclines and the declines. I could feel it on my legs, on my ankles, and I remember my mind started playing tricks. And my mind started saying, just give up. No one's gonna be mad. Just make an excuse. And then it started saying, I think you need to go toilet. I'm like, I don't.
yeah,
But it
it's your
was
mind.
I was having this dialogue with myself, and it was literally saying that, look, just run off in the bushes. No one will know. I said to myself, I basically said, I told myself, if you can finish this, then there's nothing that you can't do. and that applies to
Right.
every aspect of your life. So if there's, I'm actually a property developer, and I'm getting into a new space where I'm looking at bigger kind of developments, and there's aspects of that that's quite daunting. But my head said, if you can do this, that's like, that's nothing, that's piss.
True.
So I I've really had to sell that to myself. Just keep going. Just don't stop. Even when I practiced, to be fair, when I was training, I never ever stopped. I always used to say to myself, if you even if you bring it all the way down, as long as you keep breathing, breathing's the most important part. So if
Yeah.
you keep breathing and you just keep moving, even if you're almost at walking space pace, but you're still got that, then you're fine. And so yeah, it took everything that I had to finish that 20K.
So when you finished and you know
Yeah.
cross that line, and then the medal comes on you, and you're like,
Yeah.
because it's so heavy around your neck.
Yeah, yeah. So they gave us the medal. I remember basically what happened was when I got to about halfway, there was a guy running, a guy that I knew, and we wasn't even we were friendly, but wasn't really close. And he basically was slightly, I think he was slightly injured. He had a bit of pain in his leg. So he's look, but he was so motivated. He was like, Shaq, come on, we're doing this. We're running. So we kind of ran. So he was almost like my accountability partner in for the remainder of the race.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like he got me through that just because he was so positive. But I could see that he was was struggling himself, but he was that like completing this is our only option. We're not
Yeah.
gonna not finish this. And some people were walking and doing other stuff, and I saw people that were genuinely injured, like their feet were bleeding, and he was just like, "Look, until that happens to us, we're finished."
Carrying on. Yeah.
And literally, there's some great pictures of me and them just sort of just running together, and yeah, I did it, and it was mind blowing. I remember, and you know, you get like sometimes you get a second wind, or you just get an energy boost from somewhere, and yeah, I had quite a few of those moments. But
So,
yeah.
yeah. So since then, you've done the race.
Mhm.
I get the impression you haven't done any more races, or was
Well,
that your only one?
unfortunately, we had scheduled another one for 2020, and COVID stopped
Yeah.
that. So what happened? So that was 2019. I did that, and then uh like I said, it was a massive achievement, and I actually loved that I committed to it. I consistently ran. I stayed consistent with running, so I'd still do like I tried to do that maybe 3 5Ks a week if I could. I
Yeah.
kind of slipped sometimes, but I was always like 5K was like my,
Yeah.
you know, if I can do a couple of 5Ks, I'm in the game because I know it mentally I could work up to a 10 and I'll be fine. You know, it wouldn't really kill me. So during lockdown, I did a couple of tens. Um, I stayed quite, no, sorry, prior to 2019, I carried on the year. So coming into 2020, we agreed to do another half marathon for a homeless charity in Nottingham. And I was game. I was just like, look, I've done it. I feel like I've learned from before. So I'll definitely, there'll be more prep in my training.
Hill training.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hill train, 100%. I started doing hills. I started doing hills, and there's a guy that I know. He's ex services, and his thing was always like train hard, fight easy. So his thing was like, yeah, run the hills. If you can smash the hills, dude, you'll be fine. So I kind of took that approach, and then yeah, COVID just obviously just turned everything upside down.
So was you, when we had the first lockdown of COVID, was
Yep.
you relieved that you had a tool, you know, your body, you could use
Yeah.
your body itself to go out running, to give
I
you
loved it.
escapism and feel.
And in not to discredit how people may have been feeling during lockdown, but just being able to run and me having that freedom to do that, and I started doing burpees and other stuff. I got a lot of relief and a lot of um, um, sense of calm and clarity from running. I find it very helpful. I was able to do some. some great running. You know, I then focused on just running in different areas and changing my scenery and running along water, and I found it really, really calming, really, really therapeutic. I found running a great exercise, and I actually encouraged a lot of my non-running friends to just try it. I said, look, you don't need, you know, get your PE kit,
Yeah.
down, download the app, or just find some new music. I've run with everything. I run with audiobooks sometimes. It just depends on where my head's at. Sometimes I need like something really like, ah, and sometimes actually, if I'm not focused on the run and I'm actually in tune to something else, I find that quite helpful as well. So I think it's just about learning yourself. But I think during lockdown, running was like, it was one of the best things. Yeah.
So you said you've touched on the subject that you've inspired others as well then. So
Yeah, literally, I started getting a lot of people saying, look, Shaq, you know, I don't know how you just became a runner, but your numbers look good. You know, you're doing sort of 5K in about 25 minutes.
oh,
That's pretty good. Um, and I think it's relative because I knew guys that were a lot faster than me, but I liked my lane. I thought, right, I'm doing about, if I can, my average lane was about, I got to a point where I was about 5.5 minutes per kilometer. And that was kind of my thing. So, and I knew my body, if I sort of pushed it a bit, I could get it down to like maybe 5:10, maybe close to 5, but I could feel it was a little bit more taxing on my body. So if I was really up for it that day, I'd had my spinach and I felt like Popeye, then I know I've done, like I said, 5:30 was 5:30, 5:20 is my kind of my area. One time I pushed and I did I dropped it down to like 5 minutes per kilometer. But for me, that's pretty quick. That's me like kind of booting it. But but I was kind of doing that just to push myself and to test myself. And I stopped doing just 5K. Sometimes I do a 3K, sometimes I do two, sometimes I just to vary it up because I feel like my body would just get used to doing one thing. And yeah, lots of my friends
it
like,
sounds, yeah, it sounds also like you're not fixed on time. You just like the joy of being out.
no, I think time is the I wouldn't say the problem with time. Time's good if you're, again, I think gamifying what you're doing is great, but it's understanding why you're gamifying it. So
Mm.
for me, time, if I'm working towards a race or something, then maybe time might be a thing. But no, for me, time, I don't really. No, I those times, like I said, one time I think I done 4K and I got it to 20 minutes, and I was happy to do that. But I wouldn't then keep
Yeah.
doing that. I think sometimes for me, it's like I just want to see some different streets. I want to see a different part of the town, or I'll run in a different city. There's been times when I've been I go out of town a lot for work, and there's been times when I've like just sort of stopped off in a random place and or seen a beautiful park, and I said I'm going to run in there, and I literally park up, change, it's in the street, yeah, change in the street, throw on a tracksuit, and just go for a run.
Jack, it sounds like you're going to be like me. When you go abroad, you see what races are abroad, and then you enter. When we went to America a couple of years back with my husband, went to New Orleans. Yes, I checked. There was a race 6 a.m, only a 5K at a university, but
Is
entered
it?
and said, "We've got to do it. I've got to run in New Orleans," you know. And it's just, you sound like you're going to be that type of person.
You know
Wherever you
what? I actually would do that, and because I feel like with those kinds of runs, and it's funny you say that because I saw something on telly. I think I was on the internet, and it said like a 10K somewhere, and I thought I could do that. I
yeah.
could, and again, so it's just an opportunity to see a new place. But if I was on holiday, I would, especially with a 5K, because I'd feel like, well, psychologically, I wouldn't need to really. It's not going to be too taxing. So I could actually go
You're
for
used to
maybe
doing
around,
that, yeah.
yeah, and I'll be fine. Yeah.
I'm curious, are you a park runner? Do you know of park run?
No, I
Oh,
don't know. Oh,
Well, I
park
definitely
runner.
need to educate you offline, but I will tell you
Okay.
online, being a run director at
Yeah.
Northampton Park Run and a big park run lover, and
Okay.
being what we just spoke about as well, doing 5K wherever. Park Run is global, but it
Okay.
started in the UK in Bushy, Bushy Park. It
Remember this?
started
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
about 15 years ago, and
Okay.
it's a free weekly timed event pre-COVID, because it's off at the moment because it has
Okay.
mass gatherings,
Okay.
and it's free, it's timed. You turn up 9 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock everywhere. Maybe Australia, I think they have 7:30 in the morning because the heat
Okay.
in some
Yeah.
places. But it's 9 o'clock Saturday mornings. You turn up with your barcode, and that's your barcode for life. When you register, you get your own
Yep.
unique barcode. And yeah, you go on the start line. You get a run director like me. 3, 2, 1, go. And we're with a stopwatch. And yeah, you go round, and it's recorded. But it's the only pressure is on yourself, no
It's on
one
your
else.
stuff. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it sounds like, Shaq, you would be addicted to it.
Is it?
There's many in London. So you've got, when COVID is
I'll,
lifted and park run starts again, please
I,
try one park run, and
yeah.
I'll tell you now, you will be addicted.
I definitely will enjoy that because again, there'll be the environment of I'd been to I'd been to like a run club, and it was nice to see other people doing what I'm trying to do. They were obviously more experienced than I was, but it was
Well,
nice being
I agree. You've got the running club,
yeah,
but Park Run is unique. There's something different about it. It's the one place you can guarantee you've got a community spirit, which I'm not
yeah,
saying running clubs don't,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
everyone that turns up on the start line, even those that do it in 5K in 15 minutes, to those
Bloody
that do it
hell.
in an hour, that walk
Yeah,
round
yeah,
or go in a wheelchair round, or
yeah,
with a Zimmer frame,
yeah,
everyone that starts 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning at Park Run is you're an equal. It's like
yeah, 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 yeah,
no explaining. With where I'm going with running clubs, there is that competitive edge,
yeah, yeah.
but you don't get
Have
that
it in
at Park Run. It's
I definitely will do that. And again, I'm not particularly a competitive person. So for me, community is great. It's nice to be able, and I'd only compete with myself when I'm prepared to do it. So I only compete myself when I'm actually noticing, okay, this is a bit far. Like you've progressively got a bit faster. So then I can gamify a bit and say, actually, let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can do this. So um, I'd love to check out a park run.
seriously, go Google it. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
on Facebook, whatever. And when you start talking to other runners and you mention Park Run, you'll guarantee someone is a park runner in your group. And once they start, there's no stopping, because it really is. I've met some lifelong friends through Park Run.
brilliant.
It's just amazing. And there's a group of us that tour, and go around doing other park runs. It's just brilliant. A group of us have
Yeah,
been down to Bushy, because that's
yeah,
the biggest park run, because that's the home of Park Run.
yeah, yeah.
I've chosen holidays to make sure that there's park runs there. And when I did the Seattle Marathon about 2 years ago now, I made sure that there was park runs there before I
Yeah,
booked the marathon. So
yeah.
once you're a park runner, you're addicted.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. It definitely sounds like my kind of thing. I like
That's
community.
why I mentioned it, because it just sounds
Yeah,
so you.
yeah, yeah. It does actually, and I like that everybody's different. I like that everybody's different. I mean, for me, I wouldn't say I'm a professional runner at all, but I've just tried to maintain that consistency. And I feel like with running, what's great is that you don't have to it's not that taxing of your day, you know. Like with the gym, you got to get changed, you got to go there, you got to be like. For me, it's just I could put this on now, and I've gone for a run. So what I did for January, I did 2K a day. I
Okay.
thought it's not too demanding. Um, and even if I ran, so my times was a bit longer than normal, but I wasn't trying to over push it because I know I got to do this tomorrow. I got to do this
Yeah.
tomorrow. So I think I was about like 6:30, 6:40, for me. So that was really kind of chilled, but because I'd had a bit of a break, I didn't run that much in December. November, I'd done some. I noticed my back was kind of hurting, and I got that when I first started running. So I thought, well, maybe I'm not running properly. And the
No,
guy just said,
core
it's just
work. Core
yes,
work.
exactly what. And he just said, look, dude, this. Unfortunately, the more you run, the less you'll feel it. But it's just getting to
Yeah.
that point. It's core because again, it's not even an ache where there's something wrong. I know it's core. It's just my body getting accustomed to do it. So when I started in January, it was kind of after the first kilometer, it's kind of a bit. It was there. Halfway through the month, it went, and then I noticed. So I completed January, and I think day before yesterday, I went out and I ran too fast. So I was going, and then the app said, "Yeah, you've done a kilometer." So I just basically run in any direction, do a kilometer, and then I just ran back. Then I know I've done two. But when I got there, it was like you've done it in like 5 minutes and 10 seconds. I was like, "Oh!" And then psychologically, I was like, "Okay, you've gone too fast because now you're gonna." Because then running back, I felt like
Yeah.
my body had been a bit more taxed. So it's it's like I said, for me to do the 2 kilometers, anything in that you can do in under 30 minutes from your door, I think is no time at all really. And I've managed to keep it to under 15 minutes. So I think 15 minutes a day, if you can't give that to yourself for your health, then really, we can all do 15 minutes of something, even if you walk around the block for 15 minutes.
So are you saying then that Mo Farah puts in more effort than Usain Bolt? Yeah.
That is like they're so different. I don't even know how to think to answer that question.
I know. But
So,
now being a runner, you've experienced it yourself.
yes.
Like, do you watch like Mo Farah, the elite runners that do long distance, and think, wow, these guys are amazing? Or are you not at that stage yet?
No, well, fun. I have watched some. Um, I didn't get into it straight away because I don't really watch a lot of TV. But what's interesting is when you're interested in stuff, you start to notice it. So when I have been out or I have been flicking through the telly, I've seen it and I'm like, oh wow, yeah. And one thing I will say is it makes me appreciate people running so much. Because often you're in your car, you're driving, and you might be, or you're just walking, you see someone running, and you
Yeah,
think nothing
true.
of it. Or
That's true.
sometimes you think, oh, that's a bit odd. But now I literally, when I'm running, I'm that guy that gives people a nod. Not everyone nods back, but I just think to myself, I understand either what you're doing or understand how you might be feeling right now. So I'm that guy. Some people see me and we nod and give each other like, you know, a thumbs up. But I proper when I see runners, I'll be walking and I might be with like my partner. I'll be like, wow, he's got a good pace, and she's like, how do you know what a good pace is? I'm like, I know what a good pace is. Like he's doing very well. Do you know what, mate? I'm, I'm that guy.
You've said to us you live in London.
Yeah.
So do you have a dream of doing London one day?
London Marathon.
Yes.
It'd be rude not to. It'd be rude not to. I mean, again, before I started running, and even after the half marathon, I was sort of like, I think that my career started and finished. I'm kind of done. But again, I couldn't tell myself that I couldn't do it because that was the whole point of me doing the 20K. And I've seen some amazing stories of other people that were that were that to themselves were very, very unfit and did no exercise and were overweight. And I've seen epic stories where they've worked hard for a year and then done the London Marathon.
Yeah.
So I thought, it really is um whatever diet we have to be mindful of the dialogue we tell ourselves. So I can't tell myself I couldn't do it. Um, I would just have to just allocate enough time and to say, we're doing it next year, we're doing it, and just be consistent in training. So for me, I think I'm very big on stuff like that, like our inner voice, our inner dialogue. I say to people all the time, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So whatever you think, you're right. So I would actually like to. That's something I probably would love to work towards. Yeah,
That's good. I can see you being a marathon runner. I really can.
If you've got the faith, that's kind of that's all I need really. For me, it would just be then that's working it in, just getting the runs in, building yourself up. Obviously, I understand there'd be a certain probably type of training that you would need to prepare for the marathon. I don't know what that would be.
Jack,
But
I started running at 38. I'm
yeah,
46 now. Up until 2 years ago, I was on 15 marathons. So if I can do it,
seriously,
you can do one marathon.
15 marathons.
15, 15
Wow,
marathons. Yeah.
wow.
And I've got
Wait,
three. I've got 4 on hold because of COVID. So I'm trying to get to 20
wow.
marathons. So if I can do that many,
Yeah.
you can do one.
I would definitely do one. I would definitely do one. Like I said, if I then just looked at a training schedule of like, but I think with when we did the half, we kind of did a certain amount of runs a week, but then just scaled it up
Yeah,
incrementally.
it's different training, but
Yeah,
if you properly train for it, your body can do it. And
yeah.
I'll tell you now, you can do it.
I would actually enjoy getting into that headspace
Yeah.
and training towards doing the marathon. Yeah, and it's one of those things that's interesting when I meet people that have done it or meet runners and they're just so sort of just quite cool, collected, and I've seen their achievements. I'm like, wow, you can never judge a book by its cover,
Yeah.
and it is yeah, I really like what people are able to do. So yeah, I do a marathon.
So
Yeah.
rounding off the podcast then, what
Yep.
would you give advice to those thinking of starting running or new to running? What would your best advice be?
My best advice would be there's a couple of things that have really helped me, and I feel like the stuff that you don't have to overcomplicate it. Running, you could literally every day is an opportunity to every day is an opportunity, and I look at that as a new start line. Every day is a start line potentially. So it's not one of those things you need to overthink and say, "Oh, I'd love to do that later down." You can literally do it today. And I started off. I just ran to the end of my road and came back. So obviously over time you'd maybe get maybe some good trainers, and I'd say get something that's comfortable for you to run in, but literally just start, really just kind of get going. And it just needs, you just need the commitment and little things, like I said, like having your running gear ready at the end of your bed. If you're able to do it early and it's out of the way and you do that consistently, the changes will be so dramatic. It will be and it's quite easy to do once you start. I think it's just taking the first leap. Taking the first leap, yeah. So I just say for them to just do it. Just get your clothes on, go for a run around your block, do the same thing in about 2-3 days, and just do the same thing, and you'll notice how much easier it is. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Shaq, for sharing your running tale. We can definitely tell you're addicted to running after 2 years, and it's great. And I really look forward to, monitoring your situation and that first marathon.
No, I'd really look forward to it. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.